Now the OnePlus 7 Pro is still one of my favourite premium Android smartphones of 2019, although unfortunately the camera tech wasn't quite as strong as some rivals like the Huawei P30 Pro and those Pixel phones, which means an awful lot of pressure has been heaped on the shiny shoulders of the OnePlus 7T Pro. OnePlus's latest, most premium smartphone boasts some fresh new camera features, including an improved Nightscape and portrait mode and some new video tools as well. But is it a better everyday snapper? Well, I've been testing out the new OnePlus 7T Pro alongside the original OnePlus 7 Pro for a good few days now to see if anything has really changed for the photo and video quality. And here is my in-depth OnePlus 7T Pro camera review. And for more on the latest and greatest tech, please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell. Cheers. So first up, the hardware hasn't actually changed up at all. You once again have a 48 megapixel primary shooter slapped there on the back using Sony's IMX586 sensor. The aperture size is still f1.6, while optical image stabilisation is once again on board. And this primary lens is backed by a 16 megapixel ultra-wide angle shooter at f2.2 aperture and an 8 megapixel f2.4 telephoto lens, which offers a 3 times lossless zoom, and that also has a nice bit of optical image stabilisation thrust in there. Now at a quick glance, the OnePlus camera app basically looks exactly the same here on the OnePlus 7T Pro as it did on the original Pro. However, there are a few nifty little new features and tools tucked away in there, which I will cover in the relevant bits. So let's start with the photo quality on auto mode, and let's just get this right out of the way now. I took dozens and dozens of shots on the OnePlus 7T Pro and the OnePlus 7 Pro in all kinds of conditions, and when I compared them later on my monitor, I really struggled to tell them apart. As you can see here, the photo quality is basically identical between the pair, which at least means that all of the camera updates pumped into the original Pro now come pre-installed on the OnePlus 7T Pro, as you would kind of hope and expect. On auto mode, images are captured at 12 megapixel with a bit of that pixel merging tech to help reduce grain and improve the overall lighting. At this level, you get a pleasing amount of detail packed into every snap. My test pic still looks sharp even when cast up to a big telescreen. Of course, if for whatever reason you're dead set at capturing photos that maximum 48 megapixel resolution level, just dive into the Pro mode. You can do it from there. You can also capture your pics in RAW format as well as the standard JPEG. Now, using that auto mode, colours are once again accurately captured, so your more vibrant subjects will really stand out and pack a real punch without looking artificial. HDR situations are still occasionally a bit of a struggle for the OnePlus 7T Pro, just as they were on the original OnePlus 7 Pro. Lighter elements can appear slightly washed out, although you usually get quite strong detail in those darker areas, and it is rare to see light sources like bulbs blown out in your final pic. And at any point you can swap between the 3 rear lenses just by tapping these little icons down here. As you can see, it's not an annoying setup where you have to cycle between the 3 lenses. You can just choose the one you want and bosh, you're straight into it. Again, the results I grabbed from these alternative viewpoints are identical here on the OnePlus 7T Pro compared with the fully updated OnePlus 7 Pro, bar the occasional tiny discrepancy. Color temperature and accuracy doesn't take a hit as you swap between these 3. It is quite a subtle change these days. That said, the telephoto shooter does occasionally wash out a bit of extra colour in those HDR situations, but the 3 times optical zoom offers a pin-sharp view of a distant subject, so it's definitely well worth using for those touristy snaps. Likewise, the ultra-wide angle lens is great for dramatic shots of everything from monuments to your kids at play. That portrait mode is also a great way to grab good-looking shots of the fam, blurring the background while keeping their faces sharply in focus. It works as well as ever and now can be applied to the ultra-wide angle lens as well as the main snapper, although there's still no control over the depth effect with either lens, unlike many rivals. Now, one of the shiny new features that you'll find here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, which isn't in the original OnePlus 7 Pro, is the Super Macro mode, which you can activate with a quick tap of this cheery little flower up here. The Super Macro mode allows you to capture an up-close and personal snap of your subject from just a few centimeters away, and it worked perfectly well in my tests. Without the mode active, my near-distance shots were always quite blurred, but with this macro mode enabled, you get a sharp photo packed with all of those tiny little details. And of course, OnePlus's Nightscape 2.0 mode is back in action here on the OnePlus 7T Pro, and it can actually be used with the primary and the ultra-wide angle lens now, just as the portrait mode can. Now, with the primary lens, you get a perfectly serviceable shot just on standard photo auto mode, just as you did on the original OnePlus 7 Pro, but swap to the night mode and things improve significantly. The results are much more balanced. Those murky areas suddenly become much brighter, while overblown lighter elements are fixed right up. I've got to say, I definitely prefer OnePlus's Nightscape mode to Apple's new night mode, which did quite well in brightening up those darker areas, but failed completely on those overblown saturated elements. Using the night mode on the ultra-wide angle lens also helps out somewhat, though the results are a lot less impressive. Thanks to the smaller aperture on this lens, you'll still end up with a fair bit of grain, and those lighter parts are definitely still overblown when using the night mode. And so onto the video, and as with previous OnePlus handsets, you can shoot up to 4K resolution video at either 30 or 60 frames per second, switching between those three lenses as you go. The image stabilisation is very respectable indeed at that full HD level, and it doesn't really drop off much at all when you boost all the way up to 4K res, and then 4K res at 60 frames per second. Definitely good news if you're going to be moving and shooting simultaneously. Colours are of course still super punchy at Ultra HD, they're definitely giving a bit of extra kick, so those bright and punchy subjects will really stand out. But overall, the detail levels are sharp, audio is cleanly picked up from all directions, and there's really not much to complain about here. And in the video mode, you'll also find a new super duper shiny new OnePlus 7T Pro camera feature, and that is the super stable feature, which you can activate with a quick tap of this little shaky hand thing up here. This is similar to the super stable feature found on phones from Samsung and other recent rivals. With this enabled, your video resolution choice maxes out at 1080p. The super stable mode uses a combination of digital image stabilisation and optical image stabilisation to basically reduce the judder when you're running, cycling or jumping around like a prat. And it is definitely an improvement over the standard stabilisation, although there is some serious shimmer when things get really rocky. Last up, the OnePlus 7T Pro's 16 megapixel pop-up selfie camera. It's as cute as ever, and once again there's not really any difference over the standard OnePlus 7 Pro. You can grab good looking shots of your mug in pretty much any conditions, even with the bright sky behind you, although the screen flash feature isn't too strong at night, so you'll definitely want to hold the phone quite close to illuminate your mug. On the OnePlus 7 Pro, you could shoot up to full HD resolution video using that front-facing pop-up camera. And it's exactly the same here on the OnePlus 7T Pro as well, once again full HD resolution video using that pop-up cam. So that right there, after a few days of testing, is what I think of the OnePlus 7T Pro's camera tech. As you can see, not a massive amount has changed compared with the original Pro, certainly in terms of everyday photo and video quality and the standard flexibility offered by those three lenses. It's basically the same setup and same results, but you do get a few extra little bonus features, including the ability of using Nightscape and portrait mode with that ultra wide angle snapper. Is that enough to do an upgrade? Well, if you've got the original OnePlus 7 Pro, then I'd definitely say the camera tech is not enough of a step up here at all to warrant an upgrade. But of course, if you've got one of the earlier OnePluses, you fancy a jump up, the OnePlus 7T Pro's camera tech is definitely pretty solid, if not one of the best out there. So that's what I think, but I'm just me. You're you. Let us know what you think down in the comments below, and please do subscribe and ding that notifications bell for more on the latest and greatest tech. Cheers everyone, love you.